Welcome everyone to the Straight Shoot Wrestling Podcast. And guess what, everyone? Santi is still on vacation, so the degenerate is running the show, bringing in some guests, and this week we have Heel Kev. Kev, what is going on, my dude? How you doing?
You guys are stuck with me, Steve. I apologize, but this is the part where, like, you see your YouTube channel kind of go this way, and then once you put me on here, it goes that way. Like, quick.
Well, we're just going to end this show right now, then, if that's what works.
That's probably in your best interest. I mean, you see what happened to my TikTok channel.
Oh, geez, we're not getting into that.
Yeah, not at all. Just a quick little joke.
All right, guys. First off, for those of you who don't know Heel Kev, give yourself your own plug to start this off. Tell us about yourself. Tell us how you got into wrestling.
What's up, guys? Some of you know me, some of you don't. Like Steve said, my name is Heel Kevin. I'm a full-time wrestling content creator on both TikTok, Twitch. I do a little bit on YouTube. But I've been a wrestling fan. I always say I've been a wrestling fan for 31 years because I'm 31 years old. And I don't remember a time where I wasn't a wrestling fan. Steve, you and I have had conversations. I've had family in wrestling. My wife has family in wrestling. It's just always been around my family. There was never like a major moment where it was like, okay, wrestling hooked me. It was just that thing we always did. It was a constant, like, you wake up, you brush your teeth, you eat dinner, we watched wrestling. It was the thing that the family always did. So yeah, I've always been around it and I've just stuck with it. I've always loved it. There's been bad times, there's been good times, just like everything else. But for the most part, it's always in some way or another entertained me. And I've always found something I liked about it. And then, fast forward to a couple years ago, started on YouTube doing belt reviews. I'm a big belt collector. Steve, you've seen some of my collection. Started doing belt reviews, and then through YouTube, everybody was like, you need to make a Facebook page. So we did that. Facebook led to TikTok. I did not want a TikTok. My wife told me to make one. We were laying in bed one night. She was like, you should make one of these. You're pretty funny. I was like, I'm really funny. What are you talking about? But I made one, and I wasn't quite sure what kind of content I wanted to do. I wasn't quite sure how people, structured their content or anything like that. And it just came off really forced, like I was trying to be funny, which I found out is the worst thing you could do. And then I saw somebody making wrestling content. His name's Jake Persons. We become really good friends. But through him, I was like, okay, there's a community of people who enjoy wrestling content. So let me do that. Let me show off some of the belts and talk wrestling. And, very, very quickly, I started to hit that niche group of wrestling fans. And it just went from there. And then from TikTok came Twitch, and I started doing it just off and on. And now it's become my full-time job.
No, that's brilliant, man. I love to hear it. And me and Santi kind of have a very similar path because when Santi and I used to work together before we actually started our journey on social media when it comes to wrestling, Santi used to always make fun of me that I had a TikTok. Like, he always made fun of me, being like, dude, what are you doing? You're a grown-ass adult, blah, blah,
blah. It's the cool thing to do to make fun of people for having TikToks.
Exactly. And now him and I are sitting at like 330,000 subscribers, fast forward a couple of years, and you know what? We can stick it to Santi, and I can't wait for him to see this part of the video. All right. So, Kev, I really appreciate you coming on the show last minute. I did have... it was...
Are you kidding me? I am on the Straight Shoot podcast, and you're thanking me? No. Are you serious? Do you know who you guys are? You just said it yourself. You guys came out of nowhere, created this very organic, drama-free community. I'm thanking you, or get out of here with that thanking me bullshit.
Well, either way,
stop being so humble.
I have to be a humble host until we get right into this, where I start shooting and you shoot back. All right, so Kev, for this show and for everyone else that's listening across the globe, by the way, I just want to say a shout out to a couple of countries that I have noticed that have been listening to the podcast on Spotify. I want to shout out Finland. I want to shout out New Zealand. I want to shout out Qatar. I want to shout out Lagos, Nigeria. What up, Nigeria? Y'all listening down in Nigeria or over in Nigeria? I'm loving this. We got Bolivia, we got Chile, we've got a huge, massive fall in the U.S. and Canada, obviously. The U.K., what up, UK? But, like, when I saw Lagos, Nigeria, I said to Santi, I was like, yo, we're moving. We're making waves. We got warlords and wrestling fans. Let's go.
It's always cool to see when you can pull up those analytics and see just how far your reach is. And like I always tell people, I'm just a guy behind the camera. And then when I'm on Twitch and you see people, oh, I'm from the Netherlands, or I'm from here, I'm from there, the UK. Shout out Unicorn Goth, who watches all the way from the UK.
Yep.
It's always cool to see how far your reach is.
Yeah,
it humbles you in a way.
Absolutely. It's funny because when we were when him and I were streaming, I don't believe you were in this stream, but we were on the TikTok live for the last Saudi event. We actually had somebody in the live at the event in Saudi Arabia. And they're like, we're watching you and watching the event at the same time. I was like, yo, man.
Social media can be such a great tool. People just use it for the wrong reasons majority of the time.
Exactly. So getting on to the topic of the show, we are getting into the road to WrestleMania Backlash. Kev and I are going to do a quick little Monday Night Raw recap and how we felt about some of the segments. My personal opinion on Raw this week might be a little bit different to Kev's, but we'll see how it goes. So we're going to get into Monday Night Raw, and I'm not going into any order, but let's start off, though, with the start of the show. Our tribal chief and the bloodline, with Paul Heyman come out to probably the longest ring walk I have seen Roman do. That took forever. Like, oh my God, I swear to God, like that took 5 to 7 minutes for him to get to the ring. And he really drew it out, but that's what you go to for good heel work. You draw out your screen time and you own it. And I feel Roman owned his screen time in this, just to get to the acknowledge me. How did you feel about that for a start?
You know, you and I kind of talked about this the first time I jumped into your TikTok live. We're in such uncharted waters with Roman Reigns and what he's doing in his long title reign and the work that they're doing. I'm very impressed how they've managed to keep it, I don't want to say relevant, but it's really the only word that I can think of. Keep it interesting, keep our attention on it. Because as wrestling fans, we tend to kind of pick up the new toy and then put it down really, really fast. Mm-hmm. But we've kind of been sucked into this Roman thing, and even little things like drawing out your entrance. He does these little things, and you can tell he's getting advice, and he's listening, and he's applying it, and he's doing such a great job at being the person that everybody wants to see lose, and he keeps freaking winning. I am very impressed. I did not think it was going to go this long. I didn't think it was going to go this well. Much like everybody, when I saw Paul Heyman kind of enter the fray, I got my hopes up for it, and they've delivered. They've really, really delivered with this.
Yeah, and I just think there's a lot more good things to come with this as well. I really love the fact that people are getting annoyed that it's dragging on so long, and I truly believe with any good heel, you're going to get just a quality drag, and like we had that with Seth Rollins when he was with the Authority. It wasn't as long, but people were just getting so frustrated with Rollins and how long this was drawn out, and when is he gonna lose? Like, how much more Seth Rollins can we see? And this is the exact same thing that we're getting with Roman, and I'm very happy with it. But let's go into the segment. We get to the acknowledge me from our boy, and then, like our favorite commentators say, the RKO, and I'll say the most beautiful tandem RKO I have ever seen. Riddle hit that clean, Orton hit that clean, and it was just one of those ones where you're just sitting in there and you're like, Roman's cornered. What do we got now? Please take this from me, Kev.
I think one of the coolest things about this, and I said this on my Twitch, I do watch-alongs for every show on my Twitch channel, and we were watching it live, and the first thing I said after that happened was, we always get that RKO out of nowhere. When's the last time we got 2 out of nowhere? And they looked great.
Yeah.
There was a big pop for it. They did great camera work where they zoomed in on Roman so you didn't see him slide in. It was almost like even the crowd was in on it, because normally when somebody interferes, you get that large rumble from the crowd to kind of foreshadow what's about to happen.
Yeah.
If I recall correctly, that didn't happen.
No.
It literally came out of nowhere, and it was awesome. And I think they did a great way of setting up Drew to come out and have his little spot. I'm going to save my opinion on their match for when we actually talk about Backlash, because that's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
But for what they did on Raw, it was really good. I really enjoyed the segment. I really enjoyed him drawing out the acknowledgement. As soon as we got it, it was cut short. RK Bro's doing amazing. They've done a good job of, for me anyway, making Drew McIntyre interesting again. I think Drew McIntyre was a victim of circumstance. It was finally time for him to get the championship. He had a good run with the title. It was just during the pandemic, so everything was kind of stale. Mm-hmm. Everything had that big asterisk next to it. So I feel like a lot of people downplay his title reign and don't give it the credit it's due.
Yep.
So now that fans are back and they're bringing him back into the fold and stuff like that, I'm really excited about it. And I think they're doing really good to suck us into it.
Yeah, and we'll get more into Drew's title reign and everything going into the match at WrestleMania Backlash. I really want to touch on that heavily. But yeah, I do agree that Drew had probably one of the most underrated title reigns of a long time. And
through no fault of his own.
No, exactly. And he did great work as well. Like, look how over he was with the Rumble elimination of Brock Lesnar. So, look at that pop in this. I think, what was that? Was that in Texas? Was that?
I think so. Yeah.
Was that Rumble in Texas? I think it was.
I think it was Houston, wasn't it?
Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but anyways.
Oh, they will.
He was so over. Anyways, let's move into the next spot of the next segment, or not the next segment. Next thing I want to talk about: Alpha Academy and Kevin Owens versus Street Profits and Ezekiel. Or sorry, should I say, Elias's younger brother Ezekiel. Let's go to the backstage segment for a second. Is it me, or should they just have the Street Profits as the backstage commentary? Because
Absolutely.
Every time they are on, they cut better promos behind the scenes than they do actually in the ring. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I wasn't trying to cut you off, but they're the perfect hype men for whatever's about to happen. Yeah. They could sell anything. They're the perfect hype men. When they were coming over to Raw and they were doing like their vignettes every single week, it was always entertaining. And if you're looking for somebody to hype the next segment or the next match, you've got everything you need right there. Montez Ford's a future Hall of Famer. I'm calling it now. I don't know about his partner. I don't know about Dawkins, but Montez Ford's a future Hall of Famer in my book.
It's a big shout. That's a big shout. We'll see that. But let's get to like the storyline. And I personally, and it's my opinion, I think the best storyline on professional wrestling right now is Kevin Owens and Elias's younger brother Ezekiel. This is by far the best storyline going. It is comedy gold. It is Kevin Owens at his finest, carrying another storyline like he does. This cannot end. And I'm going to speak for Santi as well, because I know how over Santi is on Elias's younger brother Ezekiel and this Kevin Owens storyline. By the way, happy birthday, Santi. It was yesterday, but happy birthday. But anyways, this has got to be the best, is it not?
No, it absolutely is, and I don't want to continue to say the things that everybody else is saying, but we kind of have to. Kevin Owens is carrying it. Kevin Owens has he's made it something. He's made it something we want to watch. I think what WWE did right out the gate was brilliant. They did, with all these name changes that we see, whether they're dropping a name or completely changing a name, whatever the case may be, they didn't try to do that with this. They had him come out as Ezekiel, but they immediately had Kevin Owens out there like, no, you're Elias. So right there, that told me, okay, they're not trying to insult our intelligence. They're not trying to get us to believe something that we know isn't true. I mean, you look at a guy like Pat McAfee, who was in NXT with Pete Dunne, and now he's sitting on SmackDown. He has to call him Butch, like it's not the same person you were working with. They've allowed this little gray area for us to be like, okay, they're not insulting our intelligence. Let's see what they do with it. And that's the only reason I stayed involved in it, is because they weren't trying to force it on us. They allowed us to object to it. And they put the absolute perfect person in that role to do that. And, you know, I can't remember if it was you or if it was Jade who said it last episode, but Kevin Owens really will put his heart and soul into anything that he's given. My only fear when I look at this is what happens when Kevin Owens moves on.
Yeah.
This does not work.
No, and I agree. I think WWE did the right thing in offering Kevin Owens the contract that he wanted, because I think losing Kevin Owens and having Kevin Steen show up on Dynamite would have been the first nail in the proverbial coffin for a lot of fans jumping. That's my thought on that. If Kevin Steen ever showed up on AEW, oh no. Like that just changes. That would be the massive rock that it makes that wave, right? But giving him what he's given and been given, and the storylines he has gone through thus far since signing the new contract, I think Kevin Owens is really enjoying what he is doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like it. He's full character. Even on his socials, he seems more active and enjoying himself. So I really think this is the best situation that WWE could have created for themselves with Kevin Owens, to give him time to enjoy himself again, then start putting him into a feud, because he can't be out of the title picture that long.
Mm-hmm.
He is one of those guys that doesn't need a title.
He doesn't.
Like, say, Seth Rollins or Triple H or HBK or Undertaker. Those guys never needed a title, but they always need to just be at that arm's length of the title picture. So when this does turn and start to happen, I'm worried about the Ezekiel character as well, and I don't want to see him fall into the 24/7 title.
You know, it's a double-edged sword, because we talk about how good Kevin Owens is, Kevin Steen, whatever you want to call him. I know he's from Canada, but we've adopted him as a good old American boy. He's ours now. But anyway, it really shows how good he is.
Yeah.
It really shows his versatility, his depth, his range as a character and what he can do. And whether he's been a heel or a face, I might get a little bit of heat for this comment, and hey, I'm used to it, but I don't think there's another wrestler in WWE right now with crowd connection like Kevin Owens.
No.
Kevin Owens, whether he's been a heel or a face, he's always kind of been that voice of the crowd. Even when he's shooting on somebody as a heel, he's saying things that we're all thinking. When he was having the rivalry with Shane McMahon, coming out there and saying, Shane, why are you on TV? There's people busting their asses in the back who should be out here, and you're taking time from them. It's the stuff we always thought. It's the stuff we wanted to say. And whether you look at it like that or not, Kevin Owens has always kind of been the voice of the people, and he flourishes in that position.
Yeah, he in lesser context and shorter way to say it, he straight shoots. He's a straight shooter.
Absolutely.
And at the end of the day, we love him for it.
Mm-hmm.
So, let's move into a weird segment quickly. I just want to touch on this one. I wasn't going to, but we've been having this Bobby Lashley, Omos kind of thing back. Oh, I see you shaking your head. Just let me get there. Let me get there.
Go ahead.
I'm not a fan of it because it reminds me of the Chris Masters Master Lock challenge thing that they used to have in the early 2000s, and I wasn't very over on that. Talk about a fall from grace for Bobby Lashley. Ex-world champion, not, 6 months ago? 5 months ago?
Somewhere around there.
To mid-card trying to carry Omos.
Mm-hmm.
And now we randomly have Cedric Alexander back in the picture. Thoughts?
I call it the Ziggler complex.
Okay.
You have somebody who is talented. You have somebody who can work. You have somebody who can put on a great match. And they attach him to somebody who needs help, thinking that they are going to bring that person up to their level, when more times than not what happens is they drop. Not necessarily because they got worse, but because we don't care about who they're working with. It therefore makes us not care about them.
Mm-hmm.
Omos is a lost cause, in my opinion. Omos,
Ooh, big show.
There's nothing about him that excites me.
Okay.
He should never talk. His promos are garbage. And to this point, everything they have done with him, in my opinion, and I got to say that a lot, in my opinion, because we're all allowed to have our own opinions in wrestling, for people who didn't know. But I just had to sneak that in there. It almost feels like with Omos that it is insert random big guy with random big guy storyline over and over and over. We see the arm wrestling. We see the restricted moves that they do in the match. We see how they just go out there and just look like this dominating force. Let's not sit here and pretend that Bobby Lashley isn't a dominating force on his own. Like,
Wasn't he called the Dominator for a while?
His finisher was the Dominator.
No, that's it.
I just feel like when it comes to like big men, like 7-footers, like Great Khali and Omos and stuff like that, they present them in a way that is so unbelievable to us.
Yeah.
We immediately reject it. And they've done it for so long, we won't even give big guys in wrestling a chance anymore. I mean, you look at what AEW is doing with the guy that they brought in. As soon as he walked out, everybody immediately crapped on it.
Yeah.
Some say it's for his debut. Some say, my opinion is, pro wrestling has done nothing to get us excited about these giants.
Yeah.
We just stopped caring. We know they're going to come in and just be shoved down our throats and look dominant, and they get outworked, but they lose to the people who's outworking them.
It's not the Andre effect anymore. Like, and no disrespect to Andre the Giant and Hulk Hogan and Undertaker and Kevin Nash and Glenn Jacobs as Kane. Those were 7-footers in a time where, sorry, did I just say Hulk Hogan was 7 feet tall? I'm sorry.
You did.
I'm going to cut that out. Anyways, but the rest that I mentioned, those guys were in at the right time. Andre the Giant was a draw because back in the 80s, before internet and social media and all this stuff, you didn't see men like that.
Mm-hmm.
And he was a draw for that reason. He was also a great force and a great locker room leader. We all know that. But that was then. You bring out The Undertaker, who is new. He's a different type of 7-footer because he can fly.
Mm-hmm.
And they told him to slow down because he didn't need to do that kind of stuff. But he still, when he had to do it, he can turn it on. You're not going to see Omos doing a swan dive over the top rope. And if they do, God forbid, and God help whoever he lands on. You know? Kane, again, still had the Undertaker agility. And those guys were draws for those reasons because they were great gimmicks and great athletes. All in the same thing. But Omos and Sanjay Singh, what's his name?
Sanjay Singh, I think.
Those guys are just, I'm going to come down and I'm going to chop you like the Great Khali, and...
That's exactly what I was going to get at.
Yeah,
the guys that you named prior, they took that big man mold, that cookie cutter style of a big man, and they altered it and they made it their own, and they made it something different that appealed to us. And the guys who haven't hit, guys like Great Khali, guys like the guy in AEW, guys like Omos, it's almost like they come out to the ring and they're like, I'm a big guy, so I don't need to work hard.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying? And that's kind of where I'm at with Omos. I feel like he feels like he doesn't have to work hard because he's just big.
Yeah.
And that's not okay.
No, and I get that. So I think we've beaten that one to death. I just wanted to see your opinion on it. We've got 2 more matches I really want to talk about and then get into the topic of the show. Let's go into something that I'm really thinking is not needed currently, and I'm gonna get heat on it. The Miz rivalry with Theory would be perfect in itself, I believe. this whole Mustafa Ali thing confuses me, and I shot on it on the last week's episode, but nothing from this past week changed my mind on it. It
No.
is just Mustafa Ali with a new entrance song with a little bit more of a sharper edge to him on the mic. But is it needed for this to be a three-way rivalry right now?
No. Absolutely not. And I agree with what was said on the last show, not to be repetitive, but Miz is very much that Kevin Owens character who's going to make anything good. I don't think that WWE believes Miz is as good as he is. And it's not just with this, it's with everything. I mean, we all remember the Talking Smack promo with the Intercontinental Championship. They had nothing for him because, I mean, they were focused on other things. They don't realize what gem they have. It's almost as if they're like, okay, we have to give Miz all these crutches before we do this theory thing, when you could just go straight into it because the Miz is going to make it work.
Yeah.
The Miz is going to make it work regardless. And it might not be a grand slam, it might not be a home run, but I promise you it's going to be at least a double.
Yeah.
It's going to be a base hit, I promise you. The Miz is going to do the best he can to make it work, and I just feel like from my eyes and in my opinion that WWE feels like they have to give Miz more crutches than he actually needs. The Miz doesn't need crutches.
No.
Let the man go.
Yeah, and I'm not a big fan on the Miz personally. I think his in-ring work is terrible, but his everything else he does is fantastic. He is the best. He is one of the best heels of this generation. I'll just say that.
One of the best talkers by far.
Absolutely. Let's move into a quick small segment. I really don't care what's going on in the 24/7 run, but there was a segment shortly after this, and it was Nikki ASH sitting in the back, and Dewdrop comes in with this almost Venom Malice look on her face, and she looks at her Scottish counterpart and says, "All right, are you done messing around with this garbage type thing?"
Mm-hmm.
That got me very excited because I loved I love Nikki Cross.
So good.
Now that Karrion Kross is gone, and the only reason they switched her name is to give Karrion Kross his name on the roster. Mm-hmm. Are we going to go back to Dewdrop and Nikki Cross going for the women's tag titles? And if so, is this something that we should be excited about? Finally a big dominant women's tag team that we can get excited about?
I absolutely think so. I hope it's I know there's a lot in pro wrestling that you don't acknowledge. I also don't acknowledge the Bella Twins. Just going to go and throw that out there. I don't acknowledge Piper Niven's new name. I've never called her that name. I will never call her that name because she is that big dominant worker, that fantastic worker. If you guys watched any of, NXT UK, you know how good that woman really is. And you bring out, the old Nikki Cross, the sanity Nikki Cross. To this day, my favorite Nikki Cross moment is on SmackDown when Becky Lynch was talking about being the champion, and out comes Nikki Cross. She gets right in her face and she says, "I'll play with you, Becky. Let's go." Gold, bro.
Yeah.
Gold. I want that. Yeah. I want a women's tag team that I can believe in. Not saying that they're not there now. Not saying that there's not women's tag teams that I haven't believed in, but I want a fresh one. I want something I can get excited about. And this little segment between Piper Nevins and Nikki Cross, it shined just enough light on the situation to let you know something's there. You don't know what it is.
Yeah.
It could be anything. It could be nothing. But we're excited to see what happens.
Absolutely. It excites me. I think we're going to have to touch on this in future episodes with my future guests and obviously with Santi. But I think WWE has finally set a plateau here. Going in with the women's division again, we had a six women tag match between what was it? Becky Lynch,
Rhea Ripley, and Sonya versus Liv, Asuka, and Bianca.
Okay, thank you for that. I'm going to skip to the end. Because really, first off, it wasn't the best match at all. It was 3 good heels versus 2 faces and the women's champion. That's all I'm going to say. Because I don't acknowledge Bianca as a face. But anyways, is this a massive moment? Another massive moment for Liv Morgan? Getting this pin?
I don't think so.
Okay, explain.
Should it be? Yes, but they have done such a job of downplaying the person that Sonya Deville is.
Mm-hmm.
They have done such a massive job of dulling her edge. I don't think it is. And it's because the role that Sonya Deville's in right now, anytime she gets in that ring, you expect her to lose. You expect she's going to take the loss. I think she should have won. I would have loved for her to become the champion last week. I agree with what you guys said. It needed one less segment. Instead of doing, we're going to restart no count out, then we're going to restart no DQ. She should have just openly said, we're going to restart the match, no count out, no DQ. You bypass all that BS and you still get the same result.
Exactly.
So I would have loved to see Sonya go over. It would have been something nobody expected. But getting back to your original question, I just think they've taken so much away from Sonya, and not really that they've done it intentionally, but because of her absence from the ring, because she's been gone from the ring so long, she's no longer that feared competitor. It's a win for her in a big main event match, so I think that does good for Liv. I think getting the pin in the main event of Raw does good, but the fact that it was over Sonya Deville, I don't think it really adds to it. Yeah. I think the fact that she got the win in the main event is all the stake she had in that match, and Sonya was just the one who took the pin.
Yeah. For me, I think it's just they're slow playing this to potentially SummerSlam. But then again, Bianca doesn't have a match at Backlash yet. At least nothing that's on the card that I'm seeing. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but at this point, Bianca doesn't have a match. So maybe we get a late moment, they're just going to throw Liv Morgan in, or Sonya's going to find a way to get herself into a match on the card. We will see. Anyways, the final part of Raw that I really want to get into is the one everybody wants to talk about. Damian Priest and Edge versus AJ Styles. I see your face, and my face was exactly the same, and the crowd was screaming it. AJ gets beaten down. Edge grabs 2 chairs. They're looking like they're going to do the business on the injured shoulder of AJ. And all of a sudden, that beautiful music of Finn Balor's hits. And you could take it from here, but oh my days.
Just to throw this in there, I think Edge is doing some of the best heel work of his career.
Agreed.
I think this faction is redefining who he is and allowing him to show a different side of him that we've seen, with like the edge heads and stuff like that, but never this deep, methodical character, this puppet master, cult leader-esque type person. But with Finn coming out to make the save, let's go ahead and just get right into that. On the Bullet Club's birthday, you have 2 former leaders of the Bullet Club. They come out. I know everybody thinks I'm going to talk about Edge. Edge is tied for my all-time favorite wrestler. It's him and Dusty Rhodes. But the fact that they had Finn come out and make the save, and they did the 2 sweet in the ring, it shows just because they won't televise, they're former leaders of the Bullet Club, and they were here, and they did this. They still let them do enough to let the fans know that they acknowledge it. They might not do it openly, but they do it just enough to be like, hey, they let them do that. We didn't think they'd ever do that on this program. That's awesome. And it excited me. It really did. The Bullet Club's birthday, come on.
I actually marked out just a little bit. Not as much as I have done recently with some other things, but I really am over on this. I really hope this becomes something else. Judgment Day does definitely need a solid rivalry, even though the only thing that we have on the card is AJ versus Edge, and Damian's banned from ringside. I still see something happening here with this newfound partnership of AJ and Finn, and I'm looking forward to it. So,
we've wanted them to be put together for so long now. Going back to when AJ was with the Good Brothers, and they'd have, the glances in passing with Finn Balor, and then we had the Adam Cole thing in NXT. They've always hinted at it. They've always acknowledged that these guys, maybe they didn't come out and say it, but with these little random passings and skits, they've always kind of acknowledged that these guys are from another territory. They're from another place, and we know they're here, and we know they work good together and stuff like that. I would love to see them finally pull the trigger on a pairing of these guys who know each other so well, phenomenal workers, could be a great team, a great rival for Judgment Day. I'm really excited, and I hope we get it.
Yeah. So, all right, man. So we're going to move into the next part of the show, Kev, and that's going to be our lead into WrestleMania Backlash. And yes, okay, we do have SmackDown coming up on Friday, which we really have no idea what's going to happen. But I'm just going to go through the card, and this is in no particular order. And we're just going to go over the matches and really get an idea and an opinion on where these rivalries can move and really what we think about what these matches are really going to be, okay? So yep. I'm going to move into a very poor build. I'm going to get heat on this, but I don't care. I'm going to go...
Do we ever?
No. Why are we still doing Ronda versus Charlotte? Like, why is this happening? Why is Ronda Rousey still on WWE television? And why are we doing an I Quit match for the SmackDown's women's title when we already know the submission specialist is Ronda Rousey?
Mm-hmm.
In hindsight, and I don't want to say real life, but it's the only thing coming to mind right now, Ronda would tear Charlotte apart.
In a shoot.
So, what are we going to get here? What are we achieving if Ronda wins, and what are we achieving if Charlotte retains?
Nothing. We're getting disappointment either way. I think the only reason Ronda's getting cheered right now for two reasons, in my opinion. Is she a legit badass? Absolutely. Is she an amazing athlete? Absolutely. But then again, so is Bianca, and I don't like her either. But I feel like the only reasons Ronda is getting the pop or getting the cheers that she is one, she just came back. And two, it's because everybody can't stand Charlotte. It's the lesser of the two evils. Nobody's cheering for who they like better. They're cheering for who they hate the least out of these two. There are so many other talented women. There are so many other options. And it's just like this narrow-minded tunnel vision on what they want it to be. And they're going to cater to Charlotte. They're going to cater to Ronda. And they're going to go back and forth. And I'm with you, man. I don't know why we're getting it. It happened at WrestleMania. Play the cards you're dealt. Charlotte won. Move on. Get somebody else in there. I want a fresher face in the title picture. I want somebody that we're not used to. I want new feuds. WWE has the best women's division out of any wrestling company right now. The only one that I think could rival them is Impact. They're doing good things with their women's division. But WWE definitely has the cream of the crop for women's wrestlers. And I just wish they would use some of these ladies. I just watched a podcast with Ember Moon where she was talking about the way they were being treated on her way out, why she was so unhappy. And it sucks that women's wrestling has come so far and we're taking so many steps back.
Yeah.
And I only bring that up to say this. If we didn't do that, if they weren't going back to, if anybody didn't see it, Ember Moon said, we had a 2-hour meeting on why we need to dress sexy and look like Mandy Rose and stuff like that. They don't care about the wrestling anymore. Mm-hmm. They had this women's revolution. They had their women's pay-per-view, and now, okay, we gave you your bone. Now go sit down and shut up.
Yeah.
I don't agree with that. I don't like it. If they actually highlighted these, I would love to see Shotzi Blackheart as women's champion.
Yep.
I would love it. It's never going to happen.
They'll never give it to her.
No.
So yeah, I think we beat that one to death because really, fuck, what are we gonna do with with the women's division at this point. Like we watched Dynamite tonight, and the women's division on Dynamite they've got big names, but it is so poor. Like look at the boost they gave Ruby Riott coming in, and then boom, like tag feud or holding people back in the background.
Yeah,
and you know what? I think we're gonna hit on this a little bit. I'm actually gonna add another segment to this because we have missed a very important part. We did miss the releases from this week, so we're gonna hit Backlash and then we're gonna get into the releases just to make sure we cover that and we can cover the women's division a little bit more. So, Charlotte Flair, Ronda Rousey, who you got winning?
Ronda. Charlotte's gonna be a 30-time champion by the time she's done. She'll probably be a 30-time champion by next year. Who knows? But I think Ronda takes this one, and I don't like it either way.
I'm going Charlotte Flair on that one. Let's go into one that we've kind of beat to death already. Bobby Lashley versus Omos with MVP. Again, another match. Like, is this card starting to lead to something that's very disappointing? Like, this could all be left for Raw, could it not?
It very well could be. You know, around SummerSlam, I stopped watching WWE when they had that whole Easter egg hunt bull crap going on. I stopped watching WWE altogether. And then I kind of gave it a second chance when I heard Cody was going to show up. It's gotten better, but now it seems like we're starting to take that long walk backwards again, like I said, with the women's division. I don't mean to be cocky, arrogant, or disrespectful to anybody, but as far as this match, who do I have, Omos or Bobby Lashley? I don't give a shit either way.
Yeah.
I just don't care.
Just to take a pick, I am gonna say they're gonna swerve us and put Omos over on this.
If I were to pick one, I'd say the same thing.
Yeah.
Because Bobby won at Mania.
Yeah, exactly. My bathroom break match is what I call it, or go get your beer for halfway through the event. Happy Corbin versus Madcap Moss.
You're gonna need something stronger than beer, homie.
Well, that proper 12 hasn't been cracked on your shelf. I know that.
It hasn't.
But yeah, why? Like anytime Baron Corbin's on TV, like Santi knows this, I just almost throw up. Madcap Moss, I think there's something with this guy, but it's not this.
No.
Like, this gives me Damien Sandow vibes. How they built his character to start before he went to Mizdow and then went back to himself and he reinvented himself. We need this with Madcap. Because there's something with this guy, but it's not feuding with Corbin.
I think the best thing for Madcap is to go away for, 3, 4, 5 months. Come back as a completely different person. Stay away from Corbin. We go back 4 weeks into the past. Can we acknowledge that night one of WrestleMania was fantastic? WrestleMania as a whole was pretty good this year.
I will say it was one of the best I've seen in the last 5 years.
So we can agree that WWE knows how to put on a good pay-per-view.
Yes.
They're just choosing not to do it.
Yeah, it's almost like they're just budgeting for their end of year, and it's very much seen. It's very well seen in this. So, who do you got?
Just because I think he has more potential, and I'd be more invested in him if he had a character change, I'm going Madcap.
And I'm gonna say WWE is stupid, and it's gonna be Corbin. And guys, I'm not shooting on WWE. I'm just very disappointed in what we are seeing so far in the 6 matches that we have. Now we're going to get into the good matches of the night, but still, like, we just saw these 4 weeks ago. I'm disappointed in this next one. I really am. Because I wanted this tag title unification to happen this weekend.
Okay, so we agree. Let's go.
Drew McIntyre, RK Bro and the Bloodline, Jimmy and Jey Uso, the ones, have now been added into a 6-man tag with the Tribal Chief, Roman Reigns, and Drew McIntyre. WWE, this is the part in the podcast where I know you're not watching, but I'm going to shoot. Why ruin something good? You had money, and now you're like, let's start a feud and blend it together. Why? We had this 6 weeks, 4 weeks of we're gonna unify the titles and we're gonna bring out new titles and make the Bloodline the greatest faction in WWE now in the last 10 years. What are you doing? Why? Kev?
I completely agree. Everything they've done leading up to this unification match has had me. It's been interesting. It's been fun. Orton is a brand new person. 20 years into his career, and he's brand new. His batteries are recharged. His promo against the Usos on SmackDown. This is my ring. This is my show. This is Riddle's ring. This is Riddle's show. Having a great time. Absolutely loved it. I was locked into this. I wanted it so badly. And here's the thing about Roman. Roman has become such a star, such a draw, such a, in his words, a needle mover. You cannot have him on a show. You did it with Brock. You did it with Goldberg. You did it with all these other people. Let him sit one out. Let's have this, because you have done such great things with the Bloodline. It's almost like you're running out of ideas. How do we add to this? How do we keep it going? How do we keep people interested? We unify the tag titles, add that element to the Bloodline, let them run with it, make people hate them even more, because now they have all these titles that are supposed to be spread out, but people are holding them hostage. Maybe we let Jay go for the U.S. Maybe we let Jimmy go for the Intercontinental. Maybe we send Roman down to NXT to get that belt too, just because he fucking can.
Exactly. So here's my thing.
But instead, we're going to do this.
So here's my thing. All they needed to do, if you, WWE, feel you need to have Roman Reigns on a fucking pay-per-view, put him in a chair in the middle of the aisle and let him watch his cousins. And if they fail, they get scalded at the end of the match. They come in, they have to acknowledge their tribal chief, and they get scalded, and they get taken back like whipping boys. But, you know.
Get the lashes.
Exactly. But at the end of the day, I am not against Drew McIntyre and being put into a match against Roman.
Not at all.
Build it to SummerSlam. Build it to Hell in a Cell. Hell in a Cell. I just got back from Chicago. Build it to Hell in a Cell in Chicago.
In a world where you're being criticized as you can't build something, or you can't, you're not building, you're not investing, you're not storytelling, all this other stuff. And I know some people out there say that WWE is doing great long-term storytelling. I don't see it. I don't. It's just my opinion. Sue me. It is what it is. But you have built something so great. You have shown people you can build it. You've shown people you can draw their attention. You've shown people that you can repackage something and redesign something to where it's cool and it's hip and it's fresh and everybody's locked in on it. And then you fucking changed it. You shot yourself in the fucking foot. Yeah. Because, and don't get me wrong, for the last 800 and some odd days, 900 days, everybody's talking about Roman. Everybody wants Roman. Everybody wants to see what Roman's going to do. This is the one time in that title reign where no one gave a shit about Roman, and we wanted to see the Usos and RK Bro.
Yeah.
We wanted to see the two most over tag teams you have right now just fucking lock horns and tear it up.
Well, 100%, Kev. I agree with you. I think this is the only one that we're going to agree on, like 110 and 15 and 22 million %. They just needed Roman off this. Roman didn't need this to touch it to make it gold. He didn't need to perform the Midas effect on this.
Too many hands in a pot.
Leave it alone. You know what? Make Drew work for it or something, even though he doesn't need to work for it. If you want Drew on the pay-per-view, then put him in something else to get to Roman, you know? Set up that wall. I'm just going to ask for an opinion on this. Who do you got? Because the way it's set up, if they're not unifying the tag titles, my mindset, it's RK Bro and Drew. The Bloodline is going to have a bad day, and what they're going to do, they're going to lead this storyline into Hell in a Cell with Roman pissed off, wanting revenge, for the loss at Backlash. There's something that's going to happen here. And I think Roman doesn't get pinned. It's going to be Jimmy or Jay that gets pinned by Drew.
Yeah, titles on the line, I got the bloodline all day long. Unifying the titles, I got the bloodline. I think I made that very clear.
Yep.
You take the titles off the line. Roman's been working Drew during house shows. That's the next feud, from what it looks like, is what they want to do. So the way you kickstart that feud, the way you take it from the house shows to televised programming, you give Drew the win. He beats somebody who's not Roman, and you go ahead and that's how you're going to kickstart the feud, or I think that's what they're thinking they're going to do. So yeah, I got Drew pinning one of the twins.
All right, let's move to AJ versus Edge. Take everything away. Take Judgment Day. Take the Bullet Club stuff away. This is a dream match.
Yes.
This is one of those ones where you sit there in bed as a wrestling fan and you're like, what could I imagine that could potentially never happen? But we're gonna, then I would love to create it as one of my dream matches. I'm watching it right here. AJ Styles versus Edge. Oh my God. Like, can we acknowledge just how good this match has the potential to be? No Damian
I like your
Priest.
choice of words. The potential
to be, because we've seen AJ Nakamura. That was horrendous. What was it? It timed out or a double count out or whatever it was. But
no, they faced at WrestleMania and then they went on for the next 6 months punching each other in the dick.
Yeah. But I'm talking about the original match, like you're like a WrestleMania match, and what was it? It was like a double count out or some shit.
Something like that, yeah.
Anyways, Damian Priest banned, but the new alliance, the Too Sweet Bullet Club alliance with Finn and AJ, I'm gonna say we're still gonna get something. I think there's a run-in from Finn to stop Priest from coming in or something. What do you got on this match? Let's make it quick because we have a big match that we got to talk about at the end. What do you got on this?
So real quick, I agree. I think this would have been a dream match 9 years ago when Edge was in his prime. But if there's one person, we saw it with the Boneyard match. We've seen it time and time again with AJ. If there's somebody who can cater to what for lack of a better term, old timer can do, and Edge is one of my favorites. But for somebody who can't keep up with AJ, for AJ to adjust and make them look good, I think AJ is the best person to do it. I think he's going to make Edge look like $1 million. I think it's going to be a great match, or like you said, has the potential to be. One thing I want to say is I wish WWE wasn't so narrow-minded. Damian Priest is banned from ringside. He's not banned from backstage. He's not banned from when he's walking out to the ring. He's not banned after the match. He's not banned when AJ shows up to the arena. So I would love to see something like that come into play.
Yep.
Where maybe we get that save from Balor or something like that. I hope they incorporate it some kind of way. But I do think we're in for a treat with this match.
Hey, I personally think that WWE does watch our podcast because Santi and I have been booking everything for the past 6 months and it's all come to fruition. I.e. MVP turning on Lashley with Omos, called that like 8 weeks ago. So just saying what you just said. Hey, WWE, if we want to start getting gratuity on this. Who do you got on this match? I'm saying Edge.
You know what? I'm going to take the easy way out. I'm going to say the fans win on this one, man.
Okay.
I think it's going to be so good. The fans are the real winners. But who's going to score the 1, 2, 3?
Judgment.
I don't think Edge takes a loss.
I
don't think Edge takes a loss.
Yeah, Judgment.
Yeah, I don't think Edge takes a loss.
All right, final match of the night. And I'm going to believe this is the main event. It cannot be. With how much money they're putting in Cody Rhodes right now. We have Seth freaking Rollins versus the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. I'm going to let you lead this one, Kev.
Look, I'm a big Rhodes fan. I love in Cody's song where it says there's more than one, wrestling has more than one royal family. I've always been a Rhodes guy. That NWA title, for all of you watching the show, says that's not what the NWA title looks like. That is my tribute to Dusty Rhodes. Yellow lacing with yellow polka dots. That's my dusty belt. I love the Rhodes. Love them. I think I think Cody and Rollins fucking killed it at Mania. Loved every second of it. I love what they're doing back and forth. I really do. This match, you take the worker that Seth Rollins is. You take the worker that Cody is. I know I'm going to get heat because I'm a Cody fan. I don't care. But I love Cody Rhodes. I really enjoy Seth Rollins. As an Edge fan, I never thought there would be a time where I get Edge versus AJ, and I say that's not the match I'm looking forward to the most. But that's the case here. I'm looking forward to Cody versus Rollins. If this was 9 years ago, I would be looking forward to Edge and AJ more, but it's not. I can't suspend the idea that Edge has lost a step. He's doing a great job hiding it. Yeah. He is catering to what he can do, and he's playing his game. I get that, but let's be honest here. He has lost a step. Cody and Seth are in their prime, and I think they're going to deliver a much better match. Really excited for this match. This is the shining light of this pay-per-view, with the exception of Judgment Day, and I'm really looking forward to seeing it. I got Cody going over.
Here's the thing. I'm calling this the battle of the entrance music. Because these two have by far the two best entrances or entrance theme songs
are really good
on professional wrestling right now. And I said professional wrestling. I'm putting Judas below these guys, all right? And
overrated.
Judas with the fans is not overrated. When the fans can get involved, Judas is not overrated. Judas as a song is overrated, but Judas with the fans is not. You can't say that because any fan involvement, look at when Cody comes out and the whoa hits and he goes. It's just like Finn Balor coming out to his music and he throws the arms up. Any type of fan involvement, I love.
Yeah.
Anyways, this match, I will take this match on a WrestleMania. I will take this match in a Hell in a Cell. I will take this match in NXT. I will take this match in a backyard wrestling with 5 people. I will take this match in a military legion with a bunch of 85-year-old men that served for our countries. Because this match is a technical wrestling clinic.
Mm-hmm.
2 of the best to do it. And I am not as over on Cody as everyone else is, i.e. Santi. He added them to the New Day. He added him to the New Day the other day.
Oh my God.
But what I am saying is Seth Rollins, I don't care if you want to call him Tyler Black, I don't care if you want to call him Seth Rollins, don't care if you want to call him Becky Lynch's bitch. These two, I will say this is a 5-star match. And I never shoot on a 5-star match. I didn't like Mania because of the build. Because it was like, oh, who's it going to be? Maybe not Cody. And then everyone was just like so hyped that Cody returned. Now we get to see Cody's worth. Real worth. And I truly believe this is going to be great. Cody's too new to take the loss. Cody's going to go over. And we're going to see the next part of the development into Seth Rollins' kind of demonic Joker-style character. Mm-hmm. We're going to see kind of Seth Rollins begin to crack, which is a very good thing, but I don't think Cody needs this match. We could also see this being a DQ, like Seth seeing he's a little bit outmatched, and he goes for the kendo, he goes for the fucking chair, he goes for whatever.
I would love that. I would love for them to find a way to extend it. I think this is a rivalry that you can really drag out, and what you do when you drag a rivalry like this out, you take 2 of your top guys who people say need to be in that world title picture, rightfully so. Maybe not Cody just yet. I can see that. He's fresh, he's new. Let him earn his way into it. But you take 2 people who are main eventers. I don't think anybody can deny that. but you give them something to do that's outside of the title picture, you kind of declutter that title picture. You get two people away from it doing something so awesome that we don't care that they're not in the title picture because we're really invested in what they're doing anyway.
Yeah.
It's like what I loved what they did when they put the Shield back together. You took three people who were in the title picture, you put them in a group, let them do tag stuff. It decluttered that title picture.
So what I was going to say with this is, even if Cody, well, actually, I personally, the way I'm thinking this now and where my creative mind, this does end in DQ.
Yes.
And this goes to Hell in a Cell.
Didn't think about it until you said it, but I totally agree.
This is our Hell in a Cell main event.
I can see it.
And this will be our Hell in a Cell main event to add a third going into SummerSlam for Drew Roman.
That's a bold prediction.
WWE, I will take my check and you can just e-transfer me because I've just booked it. Hell in a Cell, Cody. Here's the thing. What's one of your favorite things about Dusty Rhodes in a violent match? Love seeing that color through that white hair, right?
Mm-hmm.
Rollins, Cody, Hell in a Cell. Rollins cracks because of a DQ. It's a vicious match where you see color, and it goes to a main event. DQ for me.
It's funny that you say how it leads to SummerSlam because I've always said when Roman does eventually lose a title, it has to be in a triple threat where he doesn't take the pin.
Yeah.
To keep the other title just as strong.
Exactly. So
it's the only way to get one off of him and not weaken the other one or weaken Roman. Whatever title's on the line, he loses it in a triple threat fatal four-way where he doesn't take the pin.
Yeah, exactly. So, hey, we'll see what happens, right? All right, Kev.
The waiting game.
Exactly. All right, Kev, I want you to quickly plug your social medias. I think this was a phenomenal episode of Straight Shoot. Guys, for those of you who heard me say we were going to do a recap on the recent WWE releases, I'm actually going to use that as an extension, and we are going to post a second video today or later on this week with the current WWE releases and our opinions on them. I am going to have Kev on for that, so pay attention to that. We are going to put the podcast up probably tomorrow. Kev, plug yourself. Let's go.
So once again, my name is Heel Kevin. You can find me on all forms of social media as Heel Kevin1, except TikTok. I am now Heel Kevin2 on TikTok. I post daily wrestling content over on my Twitch channel. If you guys are wrestling fans, which you clearly are because you're watching this podcast, but if you're wrestling fans and you want to hang out with some other cool wrestling fans, I'm live on Twitch at twitch.tv/HeelKevin every single weeknight at 7:25 p.m. Eastern Time. We do a lot of really cool things. We have a bunch of action figure giveaways, title giveaways, raffles. In the last 2 weeks, we've given away about 10 belts on my Twitch channel. So if you want to be a part of an awesome community and possibly win some really cool free stuff, jump over to my Twitch channel, hit the follow button, tune in for the streams. We'd love to see you over there. Aside from that, I just want to take another chance to seriously, man, thank you. I saw you guys come onto TikTok. That's where I found you guys at. You guys came out of nowhere. You guys have been doing such great work. And it was almost like I would really love to meet these guys one day and talk to these guys one day. And you and I have become really good friends since we started talking. And to be here on this show that I absolutely adore on TikTok is awesome for me. So thank you for having me.
No, absolutely, dude. And the feeling from myself, and I know Santi, is absolutely mutual. The content that you put through, it was a shame with what happened, but I can't wait to see the growth on the next one. Guys, don't forget, Kev's information will be below in the information of this video. Don't forget, my name is Mr. Tesh, and just follow me on the Straight Shoot Wrestling Podcast on TikTok, obviously here on YouTube. We are now on Spotify, we are on Google Music, we are on all bunch of different platforms for listening while you're driving. For my personal ones, I am twitch.tv/Mr. Tesh. I will not be streaming for the next month because I am having horrendous issues with my OBS, but I will be back at the start of June, right before Hell in a Cell. Guys, thank you so much for joining us on the second week with Santi being a holiday with my guests, Heel Kev, and like always, Too Sweet. Take care. Have a good one.
See you guys.